Is the AUG better than the M416? And does it deserve to be in a crate? Is the tack stock doing anything when you're spraying an M416? These are questions that have been asked for a long, long time. And today we're going to definitively give an answer as much as we can. And like any great data experiment, we're going to come up with some stuff that we didn't expect to come up with. And that's going to give us, if you watch on, you're going to find out some stuff, some of you that you have never even known existed with the M416, and something absolutely insane about the M249. Anyway, how do we collect the data? Well, we went and did the normal stuff against a wall in the cheer park, and then we took that screenshot of that video and put it into Photoshop, and we plotted the individual coordinates between each individual bullet to give us an average vertical and average horizontal recoil number for all three weapons. But then I went another step because we want to be effective and we want to leave no stone unturned. And I really wanted to go deep on the M4 in particular because there's something that's always bugged me about the M4, and that's the prone spraying numbers with the M4. How you'll be just like standing in a field and you'll be instantly dead because the M416 is being sprayed by someone 200 meters away who's prone. And we found some crazy crap out about it. Anyway, so I did the numbers standing, and then I did the numbers crouched, and then I did the numbers prone. That meant we crunched 9 different sets of data, and about, I don't know, there was like 600, and then there was a special set on the end. Let's say 650 sets of data. Anyway, the initial data point that I wanted to test most importantly was standing, the normal M416 or AUG recoil. And the AUG was clearly ahead of the game here. It seems to be about 30% across the board improved recoil over the M416. 178 being the score for the AUG on average horizontal recoil, and 639 being the average vertical recoil. The M416's horizontal recoil with and without a tack stock was so close. I will talk a little bit at the end about standard deviations, but I want people to actually watch the video, and talking about standard deviation early just upsets some people. They want meat and potatoes. The average recoil for the M4 and the AUG while crouching was obviously, again, well in favor of the AUG. 143 horizontal versus 190 for the standard M416, and it has a tiny drop down to 182 with the tack stock. And again, 570 vertical, 571 vertical for the M416. So the AUG is winning on all categories and all fronts. And that continued through to proning, which really surprised me. But don't go anywhere because there's some huge, huge stuff that I want to talk about with the M4 and the AUG when it comes to proning. You can see there the AUG, 125 recoil versus 142, 141. And those numbers are so close for the 416 with and without the tack stock. You can really say that the tack stock doesn't do a whole lot for full auto spraying. And that's not much of a surprise if you've ever looked at the actual tooltip on the tack stock. Its pluses are recoil recovery and weapon sway management. And recoil recovery is something you associate with DMRs, where you get the reticle moving back down towards the aim point faster. And this is sway, weapon sway. It's so minute and so insignificant that you never really notice it. In PC, it is very noticeable. In mobile, not so much. So you'd think that would seal the deal, but you'd be wrong. This is the M416 secret that I was alluding to earlier. This is the AUG doing a standard recoil. You will see that slot at the bottom. That's called the animation kick, where you fire your first round and it kicks the gun all the way up animation-wise. Most guns in the game do this. Watch the M416 when prone. The animation kick on the M416 doesn't exist. Here it comes. There's no animation kick there. It has no animation kick. And this is just a stock M416 without a tack stock or anything. And this sparked me on a voyage of discovery that ended with some crazy stuff coming out of the M249. I thought, well, if there's no animation kick, then wait, maybe it's a bipod thing. No, the Mark 14 definitely has an animation kick, and it has a bipod. But the DP28, it doesn't really have an animation kick, and it's got a bipod. Maybe it's just LMGs. Maybe we should try the M249. And I found out some crazy stuff. This is me firing the M249. And I know this sounds nuts. Watch me fire it. I am not controlling the recoil with my right hand at all. It's just me holding down the button. Do you notice something here? It's not going up. And we all know it has a lot of recoil, but it's not going up. It is, in fact, not going up. This is the DP28, very low recoil. But look at the M249 when you crouch. It goes everywhere. But when you lie down, I'm not controlling the recoil. In fact, the recoil sometimes goes down on the M249. The recoil goes down, not up, when lying down and using any scope. That is insane and completely unheard of. And look at it. It's so good that it's not rising up to hit the target. And I'm going to tell you, this was a big eye-opener for me because the M249 is not renowned as a lie down and spray kind of weapon. And what I figured out from this is that they've done this crazy thing with the recoil on the M249 where they've reversed the numbers. In other words, normally you have about 4 times as much vertical recoil on a 5.56 AR as you do horizontal recoil. Well, here all the recoil is horizontal. It's going left and right. In fact, it has huge big runs to the left and right, almost like a straight line. You can see it drawing a straight line across that wooden beam, and it's not going up. I am not dragging down on this M249. I am just holding the fire button. I'm not touching anything else on the screen, and it's going to fire 150 rounds and not even go halfway up the board. So I started this video trying to find out one thing, and I found out a bunch of other stuff. And it really fascinated me, and it made me go and do an extra set of data for the M416, for the AUG and the M416, where I included the kick. And normally I don't include the kick. And the vertical recoil is, of course, better without the kick, the M416. But the data doesn't really tell the story there. The beautiful thing about firing an M416 when prone is because there's no kick, when you're firing at a target that is a long way away, the first 3 or 4 rounds all go exactly into the target. And that is why it is crazy. When you fire an AUG or a SCAR-L or a G36C, you immediately start dragging down to adjust for that. It's also why if you're using gyro and you use the M416, you have a massive unfair advantage in terms of recoil control. And it's why gyro players are able to do those stupid sprays you see with the M416 where they're tilting the device, and because there's no animation kick, it just sits. It just sits and doesn't go anywhere. Now, it's an advantage. Is it game breaking? I don't know. I don't really think so. But it explains why gyro players particularly think that the AUG is trash. If you're able to lie down with a 6X and just shoot exactly where you want, you can see that would be an appealing proposition. Is the AUG better than the M4? Yes, it absolutely is better than the M4. It has 30 meters a second faster bullet speed, and if you get an extended quick draw mag on the AR, then you won't struggle with the reload. It's not such a bad thing. It does have a longer reload. It pays for it by having better recoil, better bullet speed, and it's just an all-round more accurate gun. Is it as good as the M416 at long-range spraying? No, it's not. In terms of 200-meter prone sprays, the M416 is just about as good a gun as you could possibly put in the hands of a hot little rocket. So that's the M416 and the AUG in a nutshell. Does the tac stock do anything for horizontal recoil or vertical recoil? Not a whole hell of a lot. It's negligible, the difference on it. Is it helpful for single tapping? Yes, absolutely. And as such, it's something that I think is a great addition to have on the weapon, but it's not the game breaker that you'd think it would be. And does the AUG deserve to be in a crate? I don't think so. I think it's still better than the M4, but the M4's practically still usable, and it doesn't suffer so much from being worse than the AUG. Will I swap the M4 out for the AUG? Yeah, I'd take the AUG every time. It's just how I am. I don't do a lot of prone spraying. It's not my cup of tea, and it's really only super effective for gyro pads. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was a little bit of a knowledge bomb for you, and I look forward to you subscribing to the channel and following along. We're going to be doing more videos like this. We're doing a big shotgun video next week. There is some crazy stuff I found out about shotguns. I really mean this. Like, it's going down and doing this data mining, you find things out. I'm Bushka. Look after yourself. Stay safe in the battlefield. And as always, bye for now.